Let's look at this controversy surrounding the renaming of the University of Maiduguri after the late former president of Nigeria, talking about Muhammadu Bihari. In what looked like history repeating itself, we are seeing outcry coming from stakeholders from the Northeast. Of course, we understand that in the past, the government of Jonathan in 2012, made to be precise, renamed the UNILAG after Abiola. And of course, there was rejection that came from the governing council, the students. And at the point where the Jonathan government decided to seek Senate approval to legalize his action, the Lagos State Governing Council, the students, went to court, and there was an injunction that deterred the government then from going ahead with the action. But this time around, this particular opposition to renaming the school after the late former president has gathered about 1,500 signatures. But let me quickly bring you the news leading to this. I read it from Daily Post. It said, outcry trace renaming of University of Maiduguri after Bihari. You go further to say that a growing wave of opposition is trailing the federal government's recent decision to rename the University of Maiduguri, UNIMAID, as Muhammadu Buhari University. Already, the alumni students and concerned citizens are calling on President Bola Ahmed Tinubu to halt the move. In an open letter widely circulated across social and traditional media, the stakeholders acknowledge the legacy of the late former president Muhammadu Buhari, but cautioned that changing the institution's name would undermine a well-established identity built over more than 40 years. Let me quickly say that in the time of Jonathan, even Tinubu himself was in the vanguard of opposition to what happened, or rather what Jonathan sought to do. Because then, the argument of those who were against Jonathan was that naming UNILAG after Abiola will make Abiola look as if he was a sectional leader, judging from the fact that Abiola, of course, was adjudged to have won the most fairest and fairest in the nation, and that happened across the whole country and not a sectional issue. I think the advice that Jonathan government there was that he should either rename Asu Rock, National Stadium, or any other national monument after Abiola, instead of making it to look as if it was a making it to look as if it was a regional issue. But let me quickly bring you the statement that came from even Tinubu himself in the time of Jonathan. That's why I say it's like history repeating itself. I'm equally reading from Daily Post. It's a rubbish. Tinubu fire me, others reject the renaming of UNILAG after MKO. You go for that to say that former Lagos State Governor Bola Tinubu, the State Governor Kayode Fayemi, and other Southwest top political players have kicked against the renaming of University of Lagos UNILAG after the acclaimed winner of the June 12, 1993 presidential election, Chief MKO Abiola, thus asking federal government to rescind its decision. In a statement Tinubu contended that though the president's decision to rename the university after Abiola was welcome, it fell short of what was required. He said, we must congratulate the president for attempting to do it, but we say do it right. MKO was elected by the entire country, not just by Yoruba. So that's why I say it looks as if history repeated itself, because even the people from Northeast, they are already seeing that University of Maiduguri as a regional identity, as an institution that have endured over the years, talking about 40 years as such, that they are against the idea of naming it after the former president. So the way it is, even when Jonathan did what he did, so many people, stakeholders, saw it as play politics, that it was to placate the Yorubas, possibly to have their support for his second term ambition, which of course we understand didn't say true. Of course, the same Muhammadu Buhari defeated him in 2015. But again, Jonathan could not see through that renaming, because the court halts the process with an injunction. And currently, it is not yet clear whether the president and his handlers will want to rescind their decision, or they want to go ahead with the decision owing to the opposition. Because the way it is, I think those who are pushing for the president to hold the process are growing in number. So the way it is, we are waiting and watching to see what the president will do. But meanwhile, let me bring you the decision of the federal government, because they have come out to state why they took that action. He said why UNIMAID was renamed after Bihari. This is coming from Ministry of Education. Let me quickly say that this information is from the Punch. You go for that to say that the Federal Ministry of Education on Friday said the University of Maiduguri was named after late former President Muhammadu Buhari as a result of Buhari's unwavering commitment to education. This was made known in a statement by Folashade Boriowo, the Ministry of Education's Director of Press. According to the statement, President Bola Tinubu approved the renaming during a special session of the Federal Executive Council convened to pay tribute to the late leader. I think what is important here is the president, as a matter of fact, have to give it a second thought, because if people are saying they don't want this and he have taken the action, I think as a matter of necessity, the president needs to have a second thought on it, because of course we understand that it is the right of the president to rename it, hence it is a federal university. But however, it is not even clear whether the president intend to seek Senate approval or National Assembly approval, because just as Jonathan tried to seek National Assembly approval and the University Governing Council talking about UNILAG and the students went to court and there was an injunction. So it is not yet clear whether Tinubu's government will want to follow that same route. But let me quickly say that until you get a Senate approval, it is not yet legal, because the school is established by Act of National Assembly and the name is already gazetted. So for you to utter the name, you must seek and get approval from the Senate. Just like as the president, the time they declared state of emergency in Rivers State, it could not be legalized, even if the process is still questionable, owing to the fact that Nigerians are still questioning the legality through which the president derived the power to declare state of emergency in Rivers State. Because looking at section 305 of the Constitution that gives the president the power to declare state of emergency, there is nowhere it is expressly or impliedly stated that the president reserves the right to remove a sitting governor through state of emergency. So what we are saying now is the president must get the approval of the Senate for the action to become legal. I understand that the Senate we have currently is a rubber stamp. Of course, they cannot say no to anything coming from the president. But this time that is the opposition is coming from the people, and particularly from the northern part of the country, we want to see how the president will handle it. But we understand that the other time when the president sought to review the taxation system, when the presidency came up with 4 bills talking about the tax bill, the North were vehement in their position against the bill. And as at the last count, when the bill will be passed, of course, the version that the president assented to, of course, it will be watered down. Everything that seeks to address the imbalance in the system in terms of how revenue is being shared, of course, the North made sure it was removed before they passed the bill. And as we have it, that's the version that has become law, though it's waiting for implementation. So in the same vein, until there is a National Assembly buy-in in terms of approval, that action cannot be deemed to have been concluded. But another issue is a school of thought believe that this is purely politics. That the reason the president is doing it with the speed of light is because he is seeking support of the people for the purpose of 2027 election. So yet to be seen how the voting pattern will take in the coming election. Because as we speak, the man, Bihari, who the president and APC were relying on to galvanize support for them in the North, is no more. So we are going to have an election in Nigeria in the days ahead, talking about 2027, where Bihari will not be present. Don't forget that before now, Bihari have always consistently maintained 12 million votes. Of course, a situation that have since made pundits to start looking at permutations, how the next election will be shaped. And I think all the major political parties, the stakeholders are not losing sleep. They are already strategizing, looking at how to make fresh inroad into the north. Because before now, we understand that the coalition, talking about the ADC, have consistently claimed that Buhari is working for them, or rather they have the support of the former president who have just passed on. And even the current government in place consistently maintain that Buhari is with them. And Buhari himself came up the other time before his demise to claim that, yes, he is in support of the government of Senator Bola Tinubu. But unfortunately, the former president is no more, and we're going to have an election where Buhari is not going to be is no longer in the field to command that vote. So the question is, who now take the 12 billion votes? I understand that the CPC is already polarized along African Democratic Congress and the ruling of Progressive Congress. So, but the question is, how do we now determine the percentage that will go for each and every political gladiator the way it is? I must say, very thank you for your time. This is Mr. What?